SuperTalk Mississippi media production. Middays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. Middays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Midday SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, on site at the Madison County Economic Development Authority Amazon Web Services. Big announcement today. Rhino safe and sound back in the SuperTalk Mississippi headquarters. We'll be, of course, guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music on this
Friday Eve.
And a gorgeous one it is out here today, Rhino, in Madison County. We are pleased now to welcome Joe Lackey, construction manager for Amazon Web Services. Joe, thanks for coming on.
Gerard, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, this is getting to be a habit with Amazon Web Services, and we like it, man.
Yeah,
this
we
is
do
great.
too.
This is awesome. So we're so pleased to finally get you on the program. Welcome, of course, to Mississippi. You've been here a while and been pretty busy the last couple of years.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, what can you share with us before, at the risk, I should say, of perhaps preempting the big major formal announcement? We got something going on here today, right?
We do, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Gerard, to your point, we've been building for the past couple of years. The partnership between the state of Mississippi and Amazon has just been spectacular. The community, the workforce, all of the support that we get from this community and the educational system and our trade partners has just been outstanding. And it's led to a lot of successes, which I think is what leads to today.
100%. So tell everybody where we are right now, what this site is.
The site that we're standing at now is in Ridgeland, Mississippi, in Madison County. This campus was brought. We started construction in the middle of last year, early last summer. We're looking to complete this by the end of this year. But we are in the throes of construction. We've got 5 buildings that are ongoing. We've got site clearing going for what we're going to be talking about today. But we've got a really, really successful team out here. They've been doing a great job. It's moving quickly, and it's been a lot of fun. We've got a beautiful day to celebrate it too.
We do. All right, so 5 buildings at this site, right,
yes.
Joe? And then at the north site in Canton, also in Madison County. What about that site?
Well, so we completed the 5 buildings that we started with over there. That was part of our phase 1. Our phase 2 is we've got 7 buildings that are ongoing right now. Those buildings are coming out of the ground. It's a really impressive sight to see. It's pretty cool when you ride by and you see 12 or 13 big tower cranes buildings out there. Being a construction guy at heart, I always enjoy getting to see, the cranes being in the air and you see the progress. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. So phase 1 then, 16, 17 buildings total between the 2 campuses?
But between the 2 campuses, there's going to end up being 22 total between the 2 campuses. Phase 1 over in Canton is 12 buildings. Okay. That'll be total there. And then here we've got the 5.
Okay, awesome. Well, and each of these buildings is over 1 million square feet, right?
Each one of the buildings, they usually run between
250,000.
Yeah.
4 is 1 million.
That's right. 4 is 1 million. But we've got 5 ongoing right here, right now, so a little over 1.2 million square feet. And we're going as fast as we can go.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself. I was thinking more in terms of the number that are currently online, right? At the north site, a little over 1 million square feet.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Awesome.
That's faster than you thought, huh?
Well,
you guys are really fast at this.
We plan one way and we deliver another. We like to do it even faster. So, it's like I said, the teams have done a fantastic job. Our general contractors and all the ancillary contractors that work on this, they have just really come together and been able to make this all happen in a rapid pace.
So, Joe, one of the things that truly does excite me about this project is the large number of Mississippi-owned and operated companies that are playing a huge role in this project.
Huge role. We've got over 80 contractors that are supporting us.
Unbelievable.
And that's the ones who have direct contracts. It's all the ancillary stuff that it's like a plume of support that we get. But it's been impressive to see just the sheer quantity of Mississippi businesses that have really come in and supported us in so many different ways.
Well, I've been fortunate to see you address some of those businesses at some events we have. Overall, Amazon Web Services has been pleased with the level of support from these businesses. Absolutely.
The workforce, really, what can you say? It's been phenomenal. I mean, we're delivering so rapidly. A lot of people will say, well, what's the scorecard from a construction perspective?
Okay.
It's how fast can you build it at a high level of quality?
Okay.
That high level of quality has come from this Mississippi workforce. Absolutely.
So at the risk of maybe getting too much into the weeds of contrasting your experience here in other areas, Joe, can you kind of give us a scale of 1 to 10 how we're doing there?
Yeah, that's hard to say. Everybody has their challenges.
Sure.
For us, it's just the proximity.
Okay.
But just because, I'll give you an example. We've got, from a work crew perspective right now, we've probably got close to 7,000 people on site daily between the two campuses.
Incredible.
And, you start looking at the number of tradespeople that need to be there. And I'll just use electrical as an example. Where do you go find 800 electricians?
That may be more than we have in the state.
Yeah, it probably is. But the one of our biggest challenges is just the resources and having them being able to come in.
Yeah.
And what we've seen is that a lot of people, they're attracted to Mississippi. They see the community. They feel it when they get here, the welcoming of the community, the businesses that are here that support us. There's just so much that makes a difference. And what I would say, what I've really focused on has been that support to our tradespeople as they came in. Finding a place to live is hard. It's actually been pretty easy. There's been those people that have really stepped up and said, hey, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. We've been able to find it. If you didn't have it, there's businesses, hey, we're going to make this happen.
So we've lived up to our moniker of the hospitality state.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
And I have only been told, bless your heart, one time.
And then recently you joined the board of the Madison County Business League and Foundation.
I did.
I serve on that as well.
Yeah,
We're pleased to have you there.
We're on there together. Have really enjoyed that.
Good people.
Very, very good people. To see what that organization is doing and the direction and the vision that they've got for this community as well as the state of Mississippi,
right,
has been very impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Man, and we're so happy to have you here as well. And I got to tell you, and I know you run into the same thing. You were talking about the number of people that have flowed into the state to handle this construction phase. Many of them have decided to take up permanent residency.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Big time.
We have, our general contractors, we have a couple from out of state. And as they've come in, they're senior managers. They're VPs. Their leadership is saying, hey, I like this so much, I'm just going to buy a house here and move here.
That's awesome.
And so they're already embedded into the community. They're enjoying themselves. And I mean, like I said, what I have found, it is a hospitable place. You got good fishing. That's important. You got good hunting. You got great food. I tell everybody, I was like, the one thing we're going to do when you come down is we're going to eat.
That's awesome. You're right about that. We like to feed you well here. In about a minute left, Joe, what else do you want the state of Mississippi to know? You know, we're talking to folks statewide across the state. What do you want them to know about what's going on here and just the partnership with the state of Mississippi?
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about a lot of various things, but I think the most important part of this, I can't stress it enough, the partnership between the state of Mississippi and Amazon. That partnership is doing something for this state and these communities that it is hard to believe. The jobs that are coming in, the training that's happening, like, we need so much support and the resources to be able to do something at this scale. And it's really something that it's important. It's important to the state of Mississippi. It's important to the people, but it's important to the country.
Well, we are grateful that Amazon Web Services has decided to pick the state of Mississippi for this major investment. We thank you for coming on, Joe.
We're certainly glad to be here, and I appreciate it, Gerard.
Thank you. Joe Lackey, Construction Manager for Amazon Web Services, coming right back, the Element Wealth Studio in Madison County.
Hello.
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Middays with Gerard.
Good for America. Good for fans of justice and truth. Good for us.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
This is what we stand for.
A decade ago. It's about the next generation of Mississippians who are going to grow up in a state where opportunity is no longer something they have to leave home.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. Once again, we're on site in South Madison County, Ridgeland, Mississippi, to be exact. We're here because there's a big announcement going on. Let me kind of give you a lay of the land here. Big circus-style tent I'm looking at just in front of us. We've got a little open-air tent with a couple of sides erected to help block the wind a bit out here today. That's where the SuperTalk Mississippi set is, but all the usual dignitaries on hand for this big announcement. You can probably hear in the background right now the governor of the great state of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, addressing this crowd, talking about this big announcement coming again at us from Amazon Web Services. You heard Joe Lackey. He's the construction manager on site here in Mississippi. Give us a little tease of that, but what a major amount of money that Amazon Web Services is investing in the state of Mississippi, and you could hear it from Joe that they're extremely pleased in the relationship that they have here with the Magnolia State. They have partnered with a number of Mississippi-based companies, and I got to tell you, having been involved in this directly from a board perspective for MCEDA, this is a MCEDA-sponsored event, Madison County Economic Development Authority. That's what gives me great pleasure more than anything, and just a degree of gratification, seeing these Mississippi companies that are earning really generational wealth being involved in this project. It is incredible, just a wide variety of businesses that are involved in this construction period, and this is providing them needed capital to invest in their businesses, to grow them, to scale them. And I got a feeling they're going to be busy for a long time after we hear the announcement today from Amazon Web Services. Expected to be a significant expansion of their current initial investment, which was announced, of course, as you guys remember, at $10 billion, but honestly, just based on the data I've seen, it's coming in to look more like $30 billion. Now, Amazon Web Services won't say that officially. They'll kind of wink at you when you talk about it, but that's just the way it works. It's kind of part of the business strategy that they employ. So these buildings at 250,000 square feet are coming in at roughly $2 billion per building, which is just fantastic. It's incredible. And, of course, we had a member of our Madison County Economic Development Authority, longtime member Dwight Luckett, also superintendent of Canton Public Schools, was talking about the amount of tax revenue that the Canton Public School District, and as well as the county and the Madison County Public School District, will receive from this massive investment by Amazon Web Services. Bear in mind that you look at your property tax bill, and I know that's not popular. A lot of people don't like to pay property taxes. I don't like it either. I got to tell you, it's one of those taxes that you just curse at when you get it. But the sources of that revenue, or I should say the targets of that revenue, school districts, usually about 50% of that, maybe a little more than 50%, depending on your particular county and district. And then behind that, the county itself, and then if you live in the city, the third and smallest portion of your property taxes go to the city. Same with your ad valorem taxes on your vehicle. That's something people really don't like, car tax, but they're apportioned in the same computational methodology. School districts, counties, if you live in the city, they go to the city as well. And this honestly is the major source of revenue to counties. It's virtually all the revenue they get. Unlike cities, which get a diversion of sales taxes, counties do not. They do get some little piece of money from use taxes. You remember we passed a use tax bill a few years ago. That essentially is just the tax you pay equivalent to sales taxes on online purchases you make out of state. And yeah, it's true that those monies, but they are restricted into how the diversion can be spent. They've got to be dedicated to infrastructure, goes to the counties. But in general, counties rely on property taxes to operate their law enforcement, maintain roads and bridges, infrastructure, other various county services. And that's just the model we have. And I know that folks look at the property tax, again, they don't like it, but in particular, it's the car tax you probably hear the most complaints about. And it is true, I think we have the second highest car tax rates in the country. And it's one of those things you loathe having to pay on an annual basis. Feels like you're just having to pay a tax for the privilege of driving your vehicle. No doubt about it. Not fun. I agree. I don't like doing it either. Those taxes, however, again, are allocated across the school districts, the counties, and the cities. And the way other states handle that have either no or very low car tax is that they have much higher sales taxes. And they also have diversion of those sales taxes to counties and school districts, and not just municipalities. Mississippi has one of the lowest sales tax rates in the country at the state level at 7%. We have just a handful of local add-ons, local options as they are called, a 1% tax in Jackson, Mississippi, for example. I think you've got one, Rhino, in Tupelo. You and I researched that not so long ago, but they're few and far between. And then, of course, you've got an additional tourism tax, if you will, on restaurants and sales and lodging sales. Those, again, approved by taxpayers. Most of that's been in place a long time. But if you look at the neighboring states, they're all 9.5%, 10% sales taxes all in, because they've got a state portion, a county portion. Alabama is the one I'm most familiar with. And then they've got a local portion. You get it on up to 9.5%, 10%. Louisiana, same thing. You've got a tax on parish, tax on municipalities, state sales tax. Tennessee, same thing. So maybe it makes sense for us to transition away from these deadgum car tag taxes and convert that to a consumption tax, a voluntary consumption tax, a local option layered on to the state sales tax that would stay local to replace revenue from deadgum car tax. Maybe that's a way to do that. That's more voluntary, and you don't feel like you're being penalized because you drive a vehicle. Tourism taxes are in place in every city, it seems. That's on the C Spire text line. Yeah, it's just an effort to try to raise additional money because they get, again, a little piece of property taxes, the smallest of the three categories the property taxes are funneled to. and they get a 8.5% diversion of sales taxes, but our sales tax is already at 7%, or low compared to the other states around us. But remember, those other states around us, they have local options, almost every one of them. In fact, I think every one of them do, layered on at the county and city level, that stay local, that are part of their overall revenue intake. So, just looking at some of the other news, of course, the president warns that the U.S. military is ready for the next conquest, is the terms he used, and that we're going to stay around Iran until a real deal is reached. It does feel like that after the big ceasefire announced yesterday, and we saw the markets react positively to that. Last I checked, markets are selling off, and there has been somewhat of a breach of that ceasefire. It appears that Iran is still well in control, firmly in control of the strait. Although boats, it is being reported, tankers are moving, but not to the liking, certainly, of the markets at this point. And I don't know, this regime, they don't seem to care, and they're desperate, and they just appears that they're going to pull out all the stops and just remain entrenched in fighting this president and fighting the United States. And I don't see that there's any let up on their part. What's it going to take for us to put this thing to bed? I don't know. I'm sure the military strategists are considering that right now and counseling with the president to determine the next move. I'm optimistic. I'm going to remain so, that we're going to put this thing behind us, and I just hope that it sticks and we can accomplish our objectives. But right now, this ceasefire is got to stay and be implemented to the point that it can reopen the strait, cause the strait to be reopened, and we'll get normal operations of tankers flowing through and oil onto the market, being funneled to the market to drive the price down, because this $4.50 gas, getting kind of tired of paying that. I'm sure a lot of other people are too. We're going to take a break right now. Stepping aside, once again, we're in Ridgeland, Mississippi for the Madison County Economic Development Authority. Stay with us.
From this Gerard Gibert. He keeps his classified documents right where they belong. Inside a Journey record jacket from the 1980s. Gerard Gibert, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. We're on location today. We've relocated the Element Well studio to Ridgeland, Mississippi. This is for a big announcement coming from Amazon Web Services. The governor of the great state of Mississippi just addressed the folks gathered here today for this big announcement. This is all sponsored by the Madison County Economic Development Authority. And speaking of which, we've got Larkin Simpson now with the Madison County Economic Development Authority. Hey, Larkin.
Hey, Gerard.
Good to see you, man.
They know you so well in that intro. You're a love of Ernie.
Right. Absolutely. All right, so this is a big day, well attended. And it's really cool to have this actually on site this time, right?
Yeah.
With the big construction equipment solidly in view there. I'm looking at a bunch of law enforcement from the city of Ridgeland, the Madison County, et cetera. Big day. We got the governor. We got folks in our congressional delegation. We got state legislators, folks from Entergy. It truly does take a village to pull something like this off.
It does. And that's one of the main things we wanted to celebrate, and Amazon wanted to celebrate, was all of the different people, the Mississippi companies, the people who are getting their hands dirty every day. That's why we have a huge parking lot full of equipment. You can see other contractors in the background working. They had to stop working. And so we want to celebrate all of Mississippi. And so, like I say, it's a beautiful day here in Ridgeland.
Yeah, it's so rewarding, Larkin, especially to someone that's got a few birthdays in the bank like I do, that has lived this whole life, with the exception of a few in the state of Mississippi, to see the private and the public sector working hand in hand together to do something good for the state.
Yeah, and it's been really good throughout the whole process. Amazon has done a lot of things, and where they run, their corporate machine too, so where they run into roadblocks, the locals can do stuff. Where the locals run into roadblocks, that we can get the state government involved in. So it really is a community effort of all of us to get this done for the state.
It no doubt is. So what can you tell us about what we can expect to hear today? Is it still a little too early to?
No, actually, the governor made his announcement a little while ago. So Amazon is making a $25 billion investment, another $11 billion here in Madison County. Going to do $1 billion down in Clinton, and then the announcement over in Warren County as well. So, and that's the good thing. That's the beautiful thing about this day. A large investment in Madison County, but our partners down in Hinds County and Warren County, we're all doing this together.
Well, and that's what's so cool about it. And you got to believe that Amazon is pretty pleased with their experience in the state of Mississippi. For them to make additional investment like this. Of course, Joe Lackey, we just had him on the program. He's the construction manager from the Amazon side, and he said as much. Yeah. And he won't say publicly that we're the best he's ever dealt with, and I get that, of all the locations, not only just in the country but across the world. But I think privately they may tell you that, this has been a good place to do business.
I deal a lot with the HR folks and the workforce training folks for Amazon. And one of the things that they've told us is that they really enjoy the Mississippians that they hire. When they take one of the things they do is they take their workers to other locations, Ohio, Virginia, wherever, and let them see operating data centers. And what they've said over and over again is that the Mississippians they hire, when they take them out into the field, they take them out to these other locations, that it's not that the Mississippians don't have the knowledge, it's not that they don't have the education, it's not that they can't be trained, but when they take we haven't had these opportunities to excel. And so when they take our workers out into these other locations, it's just our people have such positive attitudes that they want more Mississippians on their sites and on their locations. They love having Mississippians in other places as well.
And what I was talking about with Joe, and I know you know this well because you deal with these folks a lot more certainly than we do on the board, but the great Mississippi companies that are heavily involved in this construction effort and will be heavily involved for a long time. Yeah, I mean, they will tell you, these owners of these companies, this is more than we've ever had.
Oh, you've got two right here, right on the other side of your tent. We've got Mighty Fresh, which is a restroom company. Yeah. Well, so they started out a small porta potty company. They had to buy like 100 more porta potties for the Jan 100 site up near Canton. Had to buy more for down here. Well, now they've become a preferred vendor for Amazon. They're taking them to Texas. They're taking them to Ohio. They're taking them to other places. Same thing with a company called Site Support Group or Site Security Group is now becoming a security vendor for all of Amazon's other companies, other locations. And so those are Mississippi companies that are started here, that are based here, and they're going out into other parts of the world with Amazon, and it's just a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, it truly is unbelievable, and again, more on the way. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. There doesn't appear to be any slowdown. So tell the folks exactly how the Madison County Economic Development Authority is involved in this. What role do they play in this?
One of the things that we do early on, not just with Amazon, but with all of our industries, is so we actively try to recruit companies. In Madison County, we kind of know our 5 municipalities. We know what works in some municipalities. Some want heavy industry, some don't. They want mom and pop food industries, for instance. And so when we go out and we recruit a company, we try to think about our community. We try to think about our workforce and what fits well for us. There are things that fit in Madison County that may not fit down in Jackson County on the coast or in LaFleur County in the Delta. And so we try to figure out what thrives in Madison. And then we try to match that with the type of companies and the type of workers. And so we go out and we recruit these companies in, and then we, like Amazon took many years. And so we just kept talking to them. What are your roadblocks? What's it going to take to get you to Mississippi? What's it going to take to get you to Madison County? And we're constantly trying to eliminate those roadblocks and get to a yes of them locating here in Madison.
Yeah, and I recall there being, of course, you can imagine something of this magnitude. That list is long.
Oh, yeah.
It's not so much roadblocks, though I understand, but they are in many areas. Yeah. It's just they're not tenable, and they have to look for another site. But it's a myriad of requirements that have to be met.
Well, and every company's different. So, you know, what is important to Amazon won't be important to one of our small food vendors, won't be important to one of our industrial clients. And so you have to really build that relationship and understand what companies need to be successful.
So we're talking to Larkin Simpson from the Madison County Economic Development Authority. So, Larkin, with respect to Madison County's the Development Authority, and really the county, because it's the MCEDA is funded from a small component of millage that is carved out from the supervisors. The investment in land and the development of what we call the mega site, that was pivotal. That was a risk, but that paid off big time.
Yeah, and that's the important thing for really any community. You've got to have a product to sell. Part of my job is being a salesman. Well, I've got to have something to sell. I can't just attract a company on a dream. I have to show them this is the piece of property that we can locate your facility on. We've tested the soil. We have the utilities. We have the water, the power requirements, whatever you need. We have to develop those things before we go out to these communities or go out to these companies.
And it feels like that the Governor Tate Reeves, he saw the value of that when he set up the site development grant program. And I think it's fair to say that Madison County was kind of the blueprint for that.
Yes. Yeah, you've got several communities throughout the state that are taking advantage of that program, but it really does put Mississippi at an advantage over our states our size and our neighboring states as well.
Yeah, and when we did this and he saw the kind of business we were able to, and investment we were able to attract, said, this is what we need to be doing everywhere. And in your experience in recruiting suitors, man, when they can see a site that looks like it's ready to go, they can put a shovel in the ground and get their project underway. That's big, isn't it?
Well, it is. And, like I was in Louisiana for a while. And so every state has a site development program to some degree. But it's what does that actually mean? Just because you put a sign on it say that it's shovel ready and ready to go doesn't mean that it is. Yeah. Like, you really need to understand the soil levels and everything so that somebody knows that they can build on that property day one.
I think, though, the investment we made at MCEDA, I say we because it was a decision by the board and the MCEDA staff to clear that site, really prep it, really dress it up, building the roads and the entrance and the big signage. And that was
big. Absolutely. You've seen several of our properties. They're mostly woods, and you really don't have a vision when you ride up to a forest. Yeah. You don't have a vision of that's where my plant could go. That's where my parking will be. And so what MCEDA does, where we clear it, we undercut it, and we don't take all the trees off, but you can really start to envision what a building might look like on that site.
Huge asset when you're recruiting.
Yes, absolutely.
Larkin Simpson with the Madison County Economic Development Authority has been our guest on MidDays. Once again, we're on site in South Madison County, in Ridgeland to be exact, at the site where Amazon Web Services is building one of their campuses in Madison County. Big announcement today. They're going to invest more in Madison, in Warren, and in Hinds County. Amazon Web Services turning out to be a huge partner for the state of Mississippi. Coming right back, the Element Well Studio in Ridgeland, Mississippi.
At Key Constructors,
we interrupt this program.
Gerard Gibert.
Here we go.
This is huge. Huge news.
Huge news.
You need to listen to this.
Middays with Gerard, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from South Madison County. We're at the site where a number of Amazon Web Services data center buildings are under construction currently. This is the south site in Madison County. There's also a north site in Canton. Some 7 buildings here, 5 buildings here. 12 north at the Canton facility, total of 17. 5 already up and running in the northern part of the county at the Canton mega site. 400-plus employees already on board, permanent employees working for Amazon Web Services. An Amazon representative, Roger Weiner, he's the main person that is involved with this project for Amazon. Speaking right now, you can probably hear him in the background, and he's talking about what this investment means to the state of Mississippi in terms of tax revenue, jobs. The amount of money they're spending with Mississippi companies really is truly incredible. We need to pass on today. It's Local News Day. That's right. Americans overwhelmingly say that local news and information is the most important and most trusted source they rely on. We provide that news to you every day with our SuperTalk Mississippi News team. Whether it's the stories you hear on air or read online, our dedicated news team is dedicated to bringing you the story of our great state. And it's all free to you. No paywalls or subscriptions. On the C Spire text line, Tim in Cleveland says, I believe it's immoral and probably unconstitutional to tax people's income and then turn around and force them to pay other taxes with money that has already been taxed. Government at state, federal, and local levels has, by and large, gotten too large. Retirement ought to be the responsibility of the individual and the company they work for. Benevolence ought to be the purview of the churches. Government should be limited to doing things that individuals and private organizations cannot do. Roads, bridges, and other infrastructure ought to be the responsibility of the government. Stay out of the the social aspect of people's lives. I hear you, Tim, and don't disagree with you. Our government, I've said it a lot, I should say, is that is evolved into, to a great extent, a provider of health insurance and pension benefits. Now, you got to understand the original creation of Social Security was not to be a pension plan. A lot of people are confused about that and believe otherwise. I know that's what's commonly believed because you qualify for those benefits when you hit retirement age, and then you draw them until you die. Now, there's also a Social Security disability program that was added afterwards, and there's some survivor benefits as well. But the original premise of Social Security, going back to 1935, was to prevent poverty in the event there was an outside chance, of course, that you live to be 65. The average age for a male in 1935, life expectancy, I should say, age of life expectancy, 59 for a male, 61 for a female. You were really an anomaly if you lived to be 65 when the program was created. And so the whole purpose was just in case, on the outside chance, you just happen to make it to 65, here's a little dab of money so you won't be poor. You can't work anymore, the theory was. And back those days, remember, most work was very hard labor, and most people that made it to that age with the health care available in those days. So I'm ranting a little bit about that, but that has evolved into a permanent pension program. It was never designed to be that. But nobody's ever addressed that and stepped back and discussed that and talked about how to reform that. And I'm bringing that up because that is a huge part of our budget, both in terms of revenue that comes out of your paychecks and spending that covers the benefits that are paid. That's a huge deal. And then Medicare, of course, Medicaid, created in 1965, And the idea there was Medicare for old folks to have some sort of health insurance, because that's brutally expensive, and you pay into it your whole working life and have insurance once you retire. Otherwise, if you're talking about dumping that on the churches, and I get it, Tim, you're talking about that and Medicaid combined, which is for poor people, essentially, but only certain groups of poor people. It's grossly expanded since then. You're talking about dumping what would amount to $2 trillion plus on churches. They couldn't afford it. Couldn't do it. In the state of Mississippi, it just Medicaid alone would be $8.5 billion. Imagine dumping an $8.5 billion bill on the churches in Mississippi. Impossible. Couldn't do it. Something's got to be done. I agree. And there are no easy solutions for sure. We're stepping aside for a break in Madison County for the Madison County Economic Development Authority Amazon Web Services event. Coming right back with Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann.
Of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
That's what I like to listen to.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 2 of Middays. We're live in Madison County, Mississippi, Ridgeland specifically. We're actually at the site of one of the sites in Madison County where Amazon Web Services is making a major investment in data centers on this
Friday Eve.
It's our great pleasure to welcome now the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Mississippi, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann. Governor, good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on today.
Let me cut it on there. Yeah, it's good to see you, man. How you been?
Man.
Good day.
Big day for the state of Mississippi.
Yes,
Amazon
sir.
Web Services evolving into perhaps one of our largest business partners here in the state of Mississippi.
$25 billion.
That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable when you think about where they started and whatnot. And, you know, it brings me back to a couple of things. One, this doesn't just happen. If you remember, we rewrote the MFLEX bill to give them all the tax benefits. That's what motivated them. One of the things that motivated them to come here. Then we had the infrastructure, and then like this year, we've appropriated $50 million for industrial sites.
Yeah.
Well, we've been doing that for 8 or 10 years, and here you are. You know, you can see the ones here in Madison County. They're all over the state of Mississippi, so we'll have more of those going on.
Well, we just talked about that. I got to tell you, Governor, I think the investment in these site development grants that we provided across the state, critical to attracting these kinds of projects.
We got all our water. Everything is so time sensitive now, Gerard. You know that. So now, you know, they're shovel ready. Well, that means you got the water there, the utilities there, the tax structure's there, the governor's there, Bill Cork and there's MBA's there. So all of this stuff, you heard him talk, Roger talk today, about the speed in which they delivered, particularly Entergy as well as all of these. All of those were in place. So you show up and it's all right there.
Yeah.
So I think this has been 10 years in the making, but I will tell you this, the fruit is maturing exceptionally well.
Well, I would agree, and I think we have to recognize that Mississippi is a great place to make a business investment, to own and operate a business. And when an Amazon Web Services recognizes that to the point that they're willing to invest the kind of capital they are here, I think that says we're doing something right.
It does, and you know the other thing, Roger is and you'll have him on here in a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, and we keep talking about, well, welcome to our neighborhood, and he started to pick that up. You know, Mississippi's just a big neighborhood, and now he's one of our neighbors, and so we want to help him do everything and make sure everything goes well. And our construction people, our energy people, our economic, everybody has performed.
No doubt about it.
He's very comfortable. Now he's doubled his bet here.
No doubt about it. Roger Wiener, we're talking about, he's pretty much the man in charge of this whole ordeal here, this investment in the state of Mississippi.
For the whole country.
Right, and was critical in the decision to locate here and make that investment in Mississippi. And a lot of people probably don't know, Lieutenant Governor, that at first they said, Mississippi, you're crazy, right? Now,
a lot of people said that. But
you and I have known that for a long time. I encountered the same when I started my business. You're crazy for doing a technology business.
We're not smart.
Just watch us.
You don't wear shoes. Well, we got the biggest superconductor in the world that's ever been built right here. And then there's obviously they're looking at Warren County, and they just invested in Clinton, and there are investments all over. The governor was talking about $70 billion worth of investments. People pick Mississippi for a lot of reasons. Certainly the people are the biggest thing. We get along and we do what we say we're going to do. That's not the same in New York City. Not to pick on them, or California either, for that matter. So we do that. We've got a favorable tax base. We've got conservative government, a judiciary that works. We've got site locations. We got water. We got a decent climate. Our people really perform on everything. So it just comes like, what are you going to object to about building here?
Right.
So there's really not anything.
Well, it's always kind of fun when they initially they have this misconception that I think to a great extent is driven by Hollywood and the left-wing media. And then they come here and they say, this isn't at all what they told me it was like.
No.
It turns their head. And then they say, this is a place I think we can do business.
They can't do business. And like I said, 10 years ago, we started with all this, and the governor and I have been on lockstep on the financial part of this, setting up all the benefits, funding all the industrial sites, getting our stuff ready. He's done well. MDA's done well. Energy was a great partner. You just go down the line, and everybody worked, and it all just worked out, and I'm very pleased. But what I think everybody needs to realize is it just didn't show up today.
Right,
this
exactly.
Is 10 years
a lot of work behind the scenes for a long time.
As I used to say in the law business, we laid the predicate a long time ago, and this is what it produced. And I'm just real pleased. It's a great day for Mississippi, and it is the precursor, as you well know, Gerard, of things to come. The governor, I think, is actually turning down businesses that don't fit the mold for Mississippi, which is where we're going to be not next year, but the next decade.
Yeah.
Where are people going to work? How are we going? We did this refresh thing this year in the legislature. We can go back to work and be re-skilled up, particularly if you lose your job to AI.
Yep.
So we'll be constantly turning over part of our workforce into new things, and where we want to be is high paying jobs like these guys are, 2,000 of them.
Yeah, so it's incredible. That's how we move the needle in Mississippi.
It is.
It's how we move the needle.
Yep.
We want better schools. We want better infrastructure. We want a healthier population. We want lower taxes. Yep. That's how you do it.
Educated workforce and low taxes and having your structures all ready and people that care about you coming here.
Well, it's a big deal, and we're getting recognized on the national and the global stage when you've got global companies like this making substantial investments in the state of Mississippi. And you know what happens is that attracts others because they say, well, wow, if it's good enough for Amazon Web Services, it'd be good enough for us.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. We have people looking here working with the governor that are staggering the investments that they're looking at making in our state, and it's a continuing thing. Just like, success builds on success. You see it in football teams or basketball, you've got a good history of winning and all that. We're winning.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It used to be, my old friend Kirk Fordyce used to say, only positive Mississippi spoken here. But now only positive achievements in Mississippi ought to be spoken here.
Yeah.
We are competing with the world and not just Arkansas or someplace, and we are succeeding in people making their selection.
Yeah.
They make that selection by investing their own money here. And
it's a great thing to see. Yep. No doubt about it.
And we worked hard to get here, and there'll be a lot more now that we've got the ball starting and the momentum going.
I honestly thought from day one that this initial investment by AWS would be a springboard for future projects, not only from them, but other businesses as well. And that's what we've seen. But we're just getting started.
Yeah, and it's all over. You see it in Marshall County, Mississippi, south of Memphis, where people can come here and live here a lot less expensive. Our schools are better, and all those other kind of things. And you see it on the coast. I dedicated a new ship down on the coast that they're building, not Ingalls, but another company that's building down there.
Yep.
Bollinger. And so there's just, you go from one side of the state to the other, and we're building jet engines and cars. And the way they went to the moon was because they tested it in Mississippi. And I guess that's the way they'll go to Mars and all the rest of it. But all across, we're changing to really an intellectual community.
Yep.
Where we have specialties that we do really well, whether it be ships or AI or whatever. And each one of those will spawn where we'll be doing in the future. And quite frankly, very, very few people know where we'll be 10 years from now.
Yeah,
but
no
I know
doubt.
if we've got an educated workforce, we'll be competitive 10 years from now.
And what we want to see happen, of course, is we're producing these fantastic graduates in our great universities. We want them to stay here and make opportunities for them to stay.
Part of our proposals this year, we added a new huge STEM building to the University of Southern Mississippi. They do a lot of work down there. And then you see the same thing, a veterinary clinic at the University, Mississippi State University, who is, a world-class veterinary school. And then the same thing for the Ole Miss for their accounting school, which is also, as you know, being an accountant, is a world-class school for that. So we're betting on the things that we really, really do well in this state.
It's awesome. It's a big day, and we appreciate you coming on, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann.
It's really good to see you, Gerard. And it's good. These are good news days, and a lot of hard work, but today's make it worthwhile and makes you smile a little bit. Remember where we were and where we are today, but more importantly, where we're going tomorrow.
100%. Appreciate you coming on, sir.
Good to see you,
Thank
Gerard.
You, man. You too. Yep. We're coming right back with Roger Weiner, Vice President of Economic Development for Amazon Web Services. We're at the Madison County Economic Development Authority, Amazon Web Services big-time announcement today. Stay with us.
I've been dreaming of. Now we're together nearly every single day singing. Oh, we're so happy, and that's how we're gonna stay singing. Well, I'm hers, she's mine. I'm hers, she's mine. Wedding bells are gonna chime. Oh yeah. Do what did it dum did it do? We'll sing it. Do what did it dum did it do? Do what did it dum did it do?
Okay, is everybody ready?
I'm ready. Ready here.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. The Element Well studio today relocated to South Madison County, Ridgeland, Mississippi. We are here for the Madison County Economic Development Authority, Amazon Web Services. Big announcement today, and to that end, we've got Roger Weiner, Vice President of Economic Development for Amazon Web Services. Roger, thanks for coming on, man.
Man, can't appreciate enough for having me.
Yeah, man. So, big day. I know you've been busy. Feel like you're in a bit of a whirlwind. Appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to come sit down with us on the Element Wealth set today. Tell the folks what you announced today.
Yeah, I think what we announced today is the continuation of our partnership in Mississippi. $25 billion worth of capital investment in multiple communities across the state. Conservative investment of 2,000 jobs in the state, just of our full-time folks, not to mention all the folks that help us build that every day.
Yeah.
So it's super exciting.
So what attracted you to Mississippi, Roger? I know that I suspect that, and from what I've heard, and I suspect this is true, that at first you said, well, I'm not so sure about Mississippi. But once you guys came here, you started to get to know the people, our government leaders. We look to be a pretty strong prospect for your investment.
Yeah, I'll tell you the thing that differentiated Mississippi the most is everybody got aligned behind a common vision. I mean, for sure, there was what I call the shakedown period, wherever we earned trust in both directions,
Sure.
Which that's just smart. And there was a lot of due diligence that went on. Data centers were new.
Yep.
Not new to you, obviously,
No.
based on our previous discussion, but being a pioneer in that regard. But what we learned was that there was a huge opportunity here because the communities, the political leaders at all levels, the economic development folks had a shared vision on what they wanted to be, what they wanted to accomplish, and how they were going to do that. And those three things are super rare. I say it all the time. I see a lot of places that struggle with that vision of what they want to be.
Yeah.
And how they work together and all pull the ox cart in the same direction.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I think we're very proud of here in Mississippi, and I was talking about this with the Lieutenant Governor in the last segment, is that this was a situation where the private and the public sector came together and work collaboratively to really make something good happen. And I think we've got a strong track record of that and a blueprint for that here in Mississippi.
Yeah, and I tell you, folks are trying to replicate it. And I just think it's harder to do in some places than others, and I think it's not easy. And like you said, Mississippi's got it licked.
It starts with being pro-business. We're pro-business in Mississippi. From our governor all the way down, we welcome business and business investment. And if it's a good deal for the business, it's a good deal for us. We want to figure out a way to get across the finish line, and that's exactly what's happened here.
Yeah, this is all about a partnership where, there's a lot of mutual value on both sides.
Yeah.
The first thing, like we said, it had to be good for Mississippians, and then we had to make the commitments we needed to make and invest in Mississippians to take these jobs locally, build the workforce locally, and create unique opportunities for folks.
And I know I've said it before today and also on prior shows, but I think it bears repeating. And I see Bill Cork over here on the sidelines. He, of course, is the executive director of Mississippi Development Authority. What makes me excited more than anything and just enthusiastic and feel such a sense of gratification is when we see great Mississippi businesses benefit from Amazon Web Services investment. You got a ton of partners that are all participating in this construction effort and will be helping you and working with you guys for a long time, even once all this stuff is built, as you know. That's got to go without saying there. This is huge to see these businesses really generating record revenues and bottom lines and employment and investment in their businesses that's going to carry on for a long time.
Absolutely. I think I was just talking to Emily earlier, and she said the number's actually over 80 now.
That's incredible.
Mississippi
businesses you're working
Mississippi
with.
businesses that we're working with. And look, here's what I think is super exciting. If history's an indicator, which I think it is, we've seen in a lot of different locations where we've built partnerships with companies. They grow with us. They get a competency in the data center industry.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're getting opportunities in other locations with folks other than us in other states, and they scale. We have a company that started with us in Ireland, small business in Ireland, in our Dublin region, and next thing you know, they're doing projects now in the United States and Asia.
That's so cool.
Because they grew with us, they knew what it took to operate with us, to deliver at our kind of speed, scale, and quality. And that benefits everybody.
That makes perfect sense. So they gained the expertise from the experience of working on a local project, and that allowed them to expand out their business. That's just fantastic. You guys are making investments all over the world, of course, not just in the state of Mississippi, and, of course, you're heavily involved in that and your role in economic development. But there doesn't seem to be any end in sight at this point, Roger.
Well, we're very fortunate. As you might have seen, our CEO was commenting on how our customer growth quarter over quarter, I think, is at 24+%. And so, our company, AWS, has got over 200 incredibly valued services that our customers use every day. And AI just layers on top of that, makes those 200+ provision services even more capable. And then you add the new and exciting things you can do more generally. I mean, the future's super bright, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool is that we keep inventing new categories of workloads that can be moved into the AWS infrastructure and cloud environment, and then, of course, you layer on AI. That's a whole new industry unto itself.
That's right.
Essentially, and we're in a bit of a race, is our country, with some of our foes on the global stage, shall we say, for superiority in artificial intelligence and quantum computing and delivery of cloud services. But you guys are at the heart of that. You're driving this.
We are, and look, we have infrastructure all over the world, which we're super proud of, and we like bringing all those 200 plus provision services and AI all over the world to all of our customers. But make no mistake, the U.S. in and of itself is in a global competition, and we want to help be a part of that and make sure that all of the U.S. economy, our government customers, have the most cutting-edge technology they can possibly have to compete globally.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is that one of the key benefits of moving workloads to the cloud is that even the smallest of businesses can leverage those technologies for a fraction of the cost of what they'd have to pay if they brought all that into their premises. And it was not too long ago, it was just totally cost prohibitive. And now they're able to compete with the big companies on the same level.
That's absolutely right. There's a certain democratization to the cloud of the economy and AI in particular, and our services in particular have been enabling small businesses all around the world. Like I always give this example. I always try to find a unique gifts for folks that I decide to give gifts to, and there's a lady in Portugal that does jewelry. It's quite unique, and I literally use her every year or every other year at least, and she's a single mom who lives in Portugal, and I buy stuff from her every year. That's
so
the
cool.
Democratization of technology.
Yeah, that's so cool, and again, it's made very powerful technology accessible to even the smallest operators, and it makes them more efficient, helps their bottom line, improves their customer service, their agility, all those benefits without having to be burdened with all that stuff being owned and managed internally.
That's right.
And that's really the value proposition of the whole
It's there
thing.
when you need it, and you don't pay for it when you don't need it.
And you expect it to be up and running all the time, and that's what you guys do. Is you've got an army of people and super sophisticated, powerful technology that delivers that level of service that these customers expect.
Absolutely, and it's our number one priority is the security and safety of our customers' information and how they'd run their businesses. We've got literally thousands of people that wake up every day trying to make sure that is exactly how it works.
And work around the clock, let's be honest.
They do at that. Our threats are global.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a constant cat and mouse game you guys are dealing with, but do a dang good job at it. If folks only knew, as you and those of us in the industry know about, the number of attempts to get through and breach, which is round the clock.
That's right.
And the number that are pushed back and thwarted and mitigated without anybody knowing it, which is what you want. That's what you're paying for. So I don't have to mess with it. Don't have to worry about it.
And the resiliency of our infrastructure, too.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You have security, you got resiliency. So far, our customers are very happy with what we do and have made us the world's most broadly adopted cloud. We're proud of that and humbled by that.
It's awesome. Well, congratulations on all your success, and on behalf of the great state of Mississippi, let me add my gratitude to Amazon Web Services, seeing our state as fit for this massive investment. It's transformational to our state. Appreciate it, Roger.
I can't thank you enough, and it's humbling to spend time with a cloud pioneer like yourself.
Appreciate that. Roger Weiner, Vice President of Economic Development for Amazon Web Services, has been our guest here at the South Campus of Amazon Web Services in Madison County. Up next, it's Bill Cork. He is the Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
Properly set all controls before recording.
All systems go.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from South Madison County today for a big announcement from Amazon Web Services. More investment being made in Madison County. This event being conducted by the Madison County Economic Development Authority in conjunction with Amazon Web Services. Looks like Amazon's going to spend some more money in Madison County and Hinds County in Warren County as well. And we're pleased to welcome now Bill Cork, Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority. Bill, always good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
See you, Gerard. Great to be here today.
Yeah, so a big event today. The governor went through an outline of all the investment that has occurred in the last few years, of course, working hand in hand with the Mississippi Development Authority. Mississippi is on the move.
We are on the move, and the governor announced today, I think with this announcement, we're over $80 billion in capital investment, over 25,000 jobs, and, you know, it's just been a wild run for the last 6-7 years. It's just been really amazing, and it's not letting up.
Yeah.
I was on a text exchange with another major employer in the central Mississippi region, and they are planning another major announcement soon. They were going to put their press release out today, but they said don't say anything yet because we didn't put the press release out today. So it's just it's a never-ending joy.
Bill, what are they seeing? They're seeing something positive about the state of Mississippi. Stuff we know, the governor knows, people here know, but people outside of Mississippi are taking note, and they're seeing fit to pour a bunch of money in here.
Well, you know, it takes a company like AWS to kind of what I call break the seal.
Yeah.
You know, when you get a world-class brand like that comes in and makes that kind of announcement, which they did 2 years ago, I really thought that was a catalyzing moment. It put us on the national stage, and I can tell you, Gerard, I mean, my phone after that announcement rang off the hook with site selection because like, what is going on in Mississippi? I mean, AWS doesn't make that kind of commitment unless there's something special going on. And then, of course, they found out what we already knew, which is once you visit here once and you get it, you come back.
Yeah.
And whether that's business or tourism or any of the other number of things we're doing, I'm leaving here after lunch and headed to the coast because we're filming. John Travolta's down on the coast filming a movie, so I'm going down there to check that out. And I mean, it's just never ending. It's always some good news going on around here.
From data centers to filming a movie in one day, Bill. That's pretty exciting.
It's a great job, I got to admit.
So. You know, you're paying attention to this. There's some states in some areas of the country that folks are pushing back on data center construction. I think Maine is poised to perhaps be the first state in America to totally prohibit construction of new data centers. And there's some other areas, but man, there's a lot of misinformation associated with these projects that it needs to be clarified. I'm glad Haley Fasackerly, who's coming on later with Entergy, is going to talk about it from an electricity perspective and a ratepayer perspective. But what are you hearing and seeing in that?
Well, the national headlines have been that there is a sort of a backlash on data centers. But, you know, that's been the case with almost any new technology
100%.
adoption. You know this from your past life. I mean, everybody wanted to throw their cell phones away when they first came out. Now we got 10-year-olds running around with them in their pocket. The truth is that not every data center is alike.
Right.
Mississippi has been very selective in backing companies that, first of all, have great balance sheets, but also are focused on AI and machine learning. I mean, we're not storing cat pictures on these computers, right? And AI and machine learning is a factory. It's producing tokens that have value that can then provide value added for other companies and services as part of the digital supply chain. And that's not going away.
Yeah.
So if we're not doing it, somebody else is going to do
100%.
it. I'd rather do it here than somewhere else.
Jensen Wang, CEO of NVIDIA, he said as much. He said that data centers are that host AI workloads are the new manufacturing of this era. They're factories that are manufacturing knowledge and intelligence, essentially, is what he said. And I thought it was a great way to describe it. It's absolutely the case, and it is ingrained, embedded in every industry, in every endeavor in every industry. You know that our economy is one that historically has relied heavily on agriculture. It represents 15% or so of our total GDP now in the state of Mississippi. But the agriculture industry is a huge consumer of cloud services and artificial intelligence.
That's right, and really every industry is. It's not just ag.
Exactly.
I mean, we're embedding AI right now into MDA. We've got a cell of people that's working on how do we 10x productivity from our state workers using artificial intelligence. I'm using it now in almost everything I do. And that brain for some of these software packages, these AI and cloud computing packages, the brains are now in Mississippi.
That's
if you can
exactly
believe
right.
that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great story to tell.
It is. Well, that is a great point, because the consumers of the technology and the workloads that AWS and the others in Mississippi that are building out data centers are hosting are all over the world. They're not just inside the state of Mississippi. That's all going out across wires, essentially, as opposed to a truck that pulls up and delivers that and distributes it somewhere. This is happening instantly, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day across the planet.
And I'll say another thing, too. You know, the governor's been very, very clear about this. Our support for these data centers stops when the community support stops. We believe very strongly that local folks should decide what they want their industries to look like. Madison County's made a bet on data centers. Warren County, Hinds County got a nice big $1 billion announcement.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean those don't happen every day in Hinds County.
Yeah.
But they want them. And if they want them, I think we need to be able to do all we can to enable them. And whether it's an auto plant or a steel mill or an aluminum mill or a data center, we're here to support our local communities who are leading out and working hard, trying to make something happen for their communities. And this is a perfectly good example of a community-led, team-based approach to get real big economic development done.
Don't you feel like, Bill, that to your point, we've done it right here? And what I mean by that is we respect the environment, we respect the local communities, that these investments in the future like this can coexist and progress side by side, along with being good stewards of the citizens and the environment in which they live.
And we've been very fortunate to have some good companies that have an environmental and a community ethos, like AWS.
Exactly.
XAI, similarly. I know there's been controversy around some of these data centers, but I assure you, these are companies that are really engaged trying to solve those problems when they come up, to mitigate those impacts. They want to be good community stewards. They don't want to come in and start a fight that lasts forever.
Yeah.
No business does. But I will tell you, I'm really proud of the citizens of Mississippi for at least giving these companies an opportunity to show what they can do. And I will tell you, AWS is the model case study for doing exactly what they said they would do in this deal. I mean, down to the wire and exceeding expectations. I mean, we had what was on paper. They're doing that. We're doing our part. MCEDA's doing their part. But the bottom line is the company is exceeding their investment expectations and all their community engagement. Their team's fantastic to work with, really strong partners. And isn't that what you want from a company?
100%.
I don't know what else you can ask for.
I agree. Totally do. And they say the same about Mississippi Development Authority, the state of Mississippi, MCEDA, the governor's office, everybody involved. Entergy, don't want to leave anybody out. But they say the same about their experience here as well. And folks do what they say they're going to do. So when you got both parties adhering to those simple, respectful guidelines, you end up doing good stuff. That's what we got going on.
That's right. And you know, we've been very blessed in the last 6 years to have companies that have come to Mississippi that are doing that.
Yeah.
And you know, we have really very few problems. You know, the market's going to change, and there will be things that disrupt some of the deals we've done. That's true in every administration and throughout history. But we were very smart, and the governor was very clear with me early on. Find good, solid, competent counterparties with a strong balance sheet and a willing to do what they and a track record of doing what they say they're going to do. And we've been very fortunate to find those companies over the last 6-7 years.
Completely, totally agree. What else can you tell our folks about without breaching any NDAs, Bill, today?
Well, I will tell you, there was supposed to be an announcement today on another major announcement here in the Madison County area. They pulled the press release. But the word is out that there's going to be some new exciting things happening in this area in the advanced manufacturing space. So look out for that. Our tourism business is booming. Our film industry is booming. Economic development pipeline is full. We have $113 billion in capital investment and 45,000 jobs and almost 200 projects in our pipeline.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it's been, we've been averaging somewhere around $75 billion to $100 billion. This is the largest it's been in the 6 years. So people think it's closing down and giving up. It's not.
That's incredible. That's so good to hear. And advanced manufacturing, as you know, incredible opportunity in that world as well. And that kind of on a parallel track with the build out of data centers across the country.
That's right.
It's kind of a modern version of what industrialized the country, and we're returning to that. But the advanced manufacturing is really something to behold.
I think it is, and I think you'll find that once these data centers get built and get operational, that you'll see edge data centers, you'll see other related folks that want to be close to that for latency purposes 100%. And other reasons. So this is just the beginning of a long-term major ecosystem that will develop and thrive in our state.
It's awesome. Bill Cork, Executive Director of the Mississippi Development Authority, has been our guest. Always good to see you, Bill.
Thank you, Gerard. Thanks for having me. Great day.
Yeah, man. We're coming right back, folks, with Gerald Steen. He's the president of the Madison County Supervisors. Stay with us.
Up of Mississippi.
Check it out. Let's do this.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's get on with it.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ridgeland, Mississippi, South Madison County. We're actually on location at the site of the South Campus of Amazon Web Services, two hyperscale campuses, data center campuses, the other one in the northern part of the county in Canton, Mississippi. It's our pleasure to welcome now Gerald Steen, President of the Madison County Supervisors. Mr. Supervisor, good to see you, sir, and thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here. Glad to be with you, Gerard.
So this was another huge event. We could get used to this in Madison County, couldn't we?
Man, we're so excited about this. Like you said, the first one was in Canton.
Yeah.
It was in Canton.
Yeah.
And this is the second site.
Yeah.
So we're excited in Madison County. Good things. We're looking forward to good things continuing to happen in Madison County.
Yeah, absolutely. And the citizens of Madison County have also shown that they're embracing these investments. They're very excited about it. And no small part, Gerald, to the efforts of the Madison County, the vision, really, the Madison County Supervisors working with the Madison County Economic Development Authority. It took a little risk in digging down to make the investment in the big site in Canton and then making the acquisition of the property here, all to accommodate Amazon Web Services. But when we did that site in the northern part of the county, we didn't know that at the time. It was one of them speculative deals, but, man, it worked out pretty well for us.
Oh, it worked out great. And you're correct. Listen, first of all, I want to thank the governor, lieutenant governor, speaker, representatives, many people to thank. Gerard, and you're a part of our Madison County Economic Development Board. But it starts on the local level.
No doubt.
Right. The investment
100%.
that Joey Deason came in front of the board several years ago to purchase 800 acres of property. At the time it was around $13 million. And you're right. We didn't know.
Worked out pretty well, though.
Worked out great. Great investment. And then this site here in Ridgeland.
Yeah.
It's just great for Madison County. $25 billion total. There'll be a lot of monies that will come in that we need.
Yeah.
For infrastructure.
Yeah.
And for other quality of life.
Yeah.
Things that will help us get there.
And also, you and I both know the fine Mississippi companies, many of which are located in central Mississippi and Madison County, that are benefiting from this investment. It's incredible.
No doubt. It's always great to have your local vendors to come and do this work. And then on top of that, once the work is finished, buildings are up, you're going to have local people here to do the jobs.
100%.
And, you know, and here we are creating our, 1,000, 2,000 jobs or more.
Yep.
You know, it's just great. It's just a great day for Madison County.
And it's really rewarding to hear the Amazon Web Services management sing the praises of those great Mississippi businesses that have been involved in this project as well. They couldn't be happier with the level of service and quality they've received.
You're right. You know, they're here local. They know how to do the job, and it's proof.
Yeah.
Here today that they
making more investment.
You're exactly right. And again, we look forward for other investments. And you heard Bill Cork say earlier there was going to be another announcement today, and it was canceled. But that announcement will come hopefully soon.
That's so awesome.
And it's going to be great for Madison County, and it's here in the south end of the county as well.
Yeah.
Where the investment will be, and we just look forward to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Our county and our cities.
Well, everybody's committed to it, as you know, in our county, our county leadership and government, the county businesses are as well. They're all behind this. Right. They're all involved, and that's noticed by the folks making these investments. These businesses, they come here, they see that, and it impacts them.
It does, and it was said here several times by the governor and by AWS, Roger, and Mayor McGee. It's a partnership.
Yeah, so true.
Everyone has to be on the team because everyone has a part to play, and you play your part, and let everybody else play their part, and this is what you get. You get a development that is just fantastic.
Yeah, it truly has been a great example of the public and the private sector working collaboratively to produce something good.
It does, always. And that doesn't mean you're going to always agree.
Yeah, sure.
It does. I mean, that's just natural.
Yeah.
But if everyone's, is thinking in the same direction, you'll get there.
I think so. And that's exactly what we've had here, certainly in Madison County and other areas of our state today. But, well, congratulations on all the success here in Madison County. And I as a citizen, am grateful for the leadership of the Board of Supervisors, county government, my colleagues on the Madison County Economic Development Authority, the staff there, and, of course, our state government, NBA, like you said, whole bunch of people involved in making this happen. Appreciate it, Gerald.
Thank you, Gerard.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for what you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. It's time for Fox News Super Talk News. On the other side, it's Haley Fisackerly, President and CEO of Entergy Mississippi, the Element Well studio today in South Madison County for Madison County Economic Development Authority and Amazon Web Services.
Your home. Welcome to the show that challenges you to think deeply. And look beyond political posturing. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Well studio on site in South Madison County, Ridgeland, Mississippi. That is, again, the site of one of the two hyperscale data center campuses under construction and some in operation in Madison County by Amazon Web Services. Big announcement today. Amazon Web Services making a significant additional investment in Mississippi on this
Friday Eve.
It's our pleasure to welcome now Haley Fisackerly, President and CEO of Entergy Mississippi. Hey, Haley, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Gerard, thank you. Exciting day. Appreciate you having me on.
You bet, man. Caught a little bit of your remarks today, and kudos to you for recognizing your fantastic team at Entergy that have been an integral part of these successes we're experiencing here in Mississippi. As you are well aware, you can't do it without power, and you guys are responding to the call.
Yes, we are. The team is You know, it's a big order to deliver, but it brings so much opportunity to our state that I really appreciate the team addressing what the hurdles were and finding processes and working with the Mississippi Public Service Commission, the governor's office, and our legislature and finding a path to deliver on this great opportunity. And here we are, 2 years later. It has far exceeded any of our expectations.
That is so true, and we've talked about it today on the show with Lieutenant Governor Hoseman, of course, Bill Court from the Mississippi Development Authority. We've talked to Roger Weiner from AWS, Joe Lackey. He is the construction manager here on site at AWS. And the one resounding theme, Haley, is that it truly has been a remarkable partnership, a combination of teams from across the spectrum of private and public sector. It's not possible to pull these big things off without that.
Right. I sat there on the stage looking at the audience. You heard me say it. But, I mean, it's amazing to look. You had the city of Clinton, the city of Vicksburg, the city of Ridgeland, Madison County, Hinds County, Warren County, Mississippi MCEDA, MDA, Bill Cork and his organization, and the list goes on of all these groups that had to come together. And if you remember, it was about speed to market. Amazon is the largest provider of these services. You know, data centers are the new modern-day infrastructure. And they had contracts to meet. And so they had to find a place. And everywhere they went around the country, they were told no. And Mississippi said yes. And it's bringing opportunities. I don't think anybody has stopped to think about the ripple effect or the tidal wave effect that this is having across the state.
No, I totally agree. And, I just felt like I had that gut feeling early on that this would be a springboard for additional investment, not only from them, but from other companies that would see what they're doing and see their confidence in the state of Mississippi. And then the word would get out. I think, Haley, things you and I know because we're native Mississippians and we love it. But this is a pretty good place to do business. We have all the elements, all the necessary ingredients to support these kinds of investments.
Exactly. I mean, I know Bill Cork shared with you the pipeline. We're seeing it too. I mean, the world has woken up to Mississippi, and they're finding out this is a place that can deliver. But, Gerard, the opportunity, though, when these things first came in, there was a lot of debate. Would data centers really create that many jobs? They're creating 2,000 jobs now. But when we walked into the event, to tell your listeners, they had a list of all the companies in Mississippi that are doing business with them. It was over 60, if more. But there are also, yesterday, Howard Industry announced a major expansion. That is being triggered by electrical growth in the United States, triggered by data centers, advanced manufacturing, onshoring and manufacturing, electrification. We've seen 6 other companies in Mississippi announce over $500 million in expansion and another 1,000 jobs, directly or indirectly related to what we're talking about today.
That is incredible. So, no secret, Haley, you and I have talked about this many times. There are concerns among the public, not only in Mississippi, but across the nation, about the ability of the electricity service providers meeting this increased demand and doing it in such a way that doesn't harm the environment, doesn't disturb the ecosystem, but also doesn't place a financial burden on the traditional ratepayers. Tell us where we are there.
Well, yeah, so thank you for that, because that is what excites me more. We, for a couple of decades, have been in very low growth, the Entry Mississippi Territory. But at the time, we have an obligation to serve to provide affordable, reliable. But those two can tug on each other, right? Investment, if you don't have growth and you invest more, you put more cost pressure on your customers, and that makes affordability. So we badly needed something to bring a large volumetric growth to our business to allow us to spread the costs over more kilowatt hours. And that's what we found in AWS. First and foremost, they understood and agreed that they did not want to create a harm. But Gerard, I think it's also to recognize the electric utility industry had been pretty flat for well over 2 or 3 decades. And when you're not seeing much growth, it doesn't give you a chance to unlock new technologies. We've got new technologies that have been sitting on the side. So what's happening now, we're building new gas units that are 40% more efficient. They use less water, less gas, and have a greater output, much cleaner technology, and very quiet. We're also building solar facilities that have new technologies there paired with batteries that are going to be happening, and that creates a way to dispatch solar energy when you need it. But also, what I'm excited about, I came into the business from the nuclear policy side. We're now having discussions now about bringing nuclear power back. You can't do that when you don't have a demand or growth happening, and that's what's happening here. And it's happening in a way it needs to happen, where it doesn't force unnecessary costs on existing customers, so that it's being triggered by demand, need, and growth.
Well, you beat me to it. I was about to ask you specifically about that, because it just feels like that perhaps that is the answer to this insatiable appetite that these data centers have, which we can't just say no to. This is necessary technology. It's necessary from a national security perspective, from just an economic security perspective.
Yep.
But nuclear's got to be a part of that, is it not, Haley? And we haven't built a nuclear plant in this country in decades, and now we're starting to see a lot of interest in that. The construction, the operation, the management, the security, everything about nuclear power, that's changed dramatically, to your point, with respect to technology, has it not?
Well, yes. The United States has proven that you can operate nuclear power plants safely. And to my point earlier, there have been advancements in technology, but there hasn't been a demand for the energy to make the investments.
Sure.
Now we're seeing that demand. Pair that with the fact you have aging generation out there that has to be replaced. So, if you didn't have the growth, and then you don't unlock that new value. But also this other point, if we were going to have to build 2 of these new power plants in 2030. And we were going to have to build them, and the customers, those plants were going to cost $1 billion each more than they are today. And without AWS, that cost would have been borne by our existing customers. But because of AWS, that's creating $2 billion worth of savings alone to our customers. Well, the same is going to be as we start to move forward on nuclear discussions. It's going to have to be customer-led. It's going to have to be somebody like an Amazon or something who triggers the real need to bring the volumetric economies of scales we need. But that's when opportunity starts to happen, when there's demand. We have the ingenuity. We have the wherewithal, the know-how here. We just needed a turning point to unlock these new investment and technology opportunities.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's the old economies of scale principle, is it not, Haley, to a great extent?
It is. It is. I go around the state talking about it, and I visit cities. You need more taxpayers to provide the services you are, and you have a lot of fixed costs. You got to maintain roads and water systems and all types of infrastructure that is necessary to people to live. But if your tax base is shrinking or you're losing people, then you're forcing more costs onto your existing residents. And the same is with my business. The more users I get, the economies of scales it gives to us all.
Sure. Haley Fasackerly, President and CEO of Entergy Mississippi, has been our guest on Middays. Appreciate it, Haley. I know you're busy for taking a couple of minutes to join us and to share the Entergy's story with respect to this major announcement in the state of Mississippi, and appreciate certainly all the efforts of you and your team.
Thank you, Gerard. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience.
You bet. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. We're coming right back once again in South Madison County for this big AWS announcement. At 12:50 today, it's Sam Kelly. He's chair of the Madison County Business League and Foundation. Stay with us.
I'm gonna make it tired, oh Lord. Gonna get by with my friend.
At Fillmore Buick, get on! Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is on.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. MidDays is live on site today for the Madison County Economic Development Authority, Amazon Web Services. Big announcement. Had the governor, the lieutenant governor, members of our legislature, our congressional delegation, several county and municipal leaders. Lots of folks were present here under the big tent. We're at the actual site where the South Amazon Web Services campus exists, the south part of Madison County, that is. That's where this big announcement took place. The governor, of course, touting the massive amount of investment that is poured into the state over the last few years, and again, promoting the fact that Amazon Web Services says we got more. We're coming at you with some more investment in Madison County, Warren County, Hinds County, and I don't think it's going to stop, personally. I think they're going to keep on going. The demand for these services, these sorts of cloud-based workloads involving artificial intelligence, is going to continue rolling on. And Amazon Web Services will naturally respond to that by building out their infrastructure. Some states in the United States, as we talked earlier about, at least one in particular, the state of Maine, says they may be putting a total moratorium, a prohibition really, on data centers. It's at the federal level, it's Bernie Sanders, AOC, and some of that ilk that are calling for a moratorium nationally on data centers. But you got to read their commentary, their statements about that. It's not because they have concerns that some municipalities and people in those more localized areas are expressing to their local leaders concerning water and power and pollution and noise, etc. No, their concern is that people may make too much money by building out these data centers. It's just creating too much wealth. We can't have that. Like I've said so many times, Democrats think more about recutting the pie, never expanding the economic pie. Speaking of which, the Congressional Budget Office yesterday released its estimate for the deficit, the federal deficit for the first half of fiscal year 26. Of course, the federal government's fiscal year begins in October, so March 31st marked the first 6 months of the fiscal year 2026. Sorry to report that we borrowed $1.2 trillion in the first 6 months of the year. We're on a run rate of $2.4 trillion in terms of the federal deficit. 2.4. We borrowed $163 billion just in March. Just in March. So we're not moving in the direction that I think most Americans would like to see, which is that those deficits come down, that the borrowing as a result decreases, and that we're moving more towards a 3% of GDP. That would be the deficits as a percentage of gross domestic product, instead of the present 6 to 7%. I think it's actually going to be more like 8% this year. Our GDP sits at about $30 trillion. So you can do the math there. If we were to rack up a $2.4 trillion deficit this year, that's 8%. So 3% would put us back in line with where we were in the president's first term, and that was in 2017, which was about $900 billion. But we have increased that substantially, now up to over, on a run rate, to be over $2 trillion for fiscal year 2026. In the meantime, our Social Security and Medicare programs, also our Highway Trust Fund, they're depleting their reserves and barreling towards insolvency. Huge problem that just doesn't seem to get a lot of attention. The president has come out and provided a budget as required by our law. And supports the president, advises the president. That would be Kevin Hassett. He said he still expects 4 to 5% GDP growth this year. I just can't see it. I really don't. But I'd like for that to be the case. Bottom line is we'd have to grow it substantially, but that means keeping spending level. That won't happen in Social Security and Medicare, which account for about 60-something% of spending. They're going to continue to rise. That they're just going to continue to go up. And when you got the president saying we need to spend 50% more on defense, so you see the point here is that even though we perhaps could grow our way out of this, assuming spending stayed the same, that won't happen. Same is true at the state level as we're in the process of eliminating the income tax. We're stepping aside for a break, coming right back. Stay with us. Oh, sorry about that. I misread the clock. No, we're staying with you for about 30 more seconds. So what I was saying about the state level, just so you'll know, is that you could make that same sort of analysis with respect to the state's GDP and elimination of the income tax. What would our GDP have to be to increase our sales tax revenue sufficient to offset the loss of income tax revenue? Turns out we'd have to grow it by about 65%. 65%, not likely, even with all the great economic development success we're having right now. This is why I think in 2-3 years we're likely to be facing a budgetary I don't want to call it a crisis, but a conundrum. How about that in 2 to 3 years as revenues start to level out and spending continues to go up, just like we're doing this year with teacher pay raises and more money for Medicaid. That's not going to slow down. Coming right back with the Element Well Studio in South Madison County for the Madison County Economic Development Authority and Amazon Web Services.
Come on. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
All right, we are back
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from South Madison County, Ridgeland, Mississippi. It's been a big day here. Madison County Economic Development Authority, Amazon Web Services announcing more massive investment from the big cloud services provider, making more investments in Madison County, a phase 2, if you will, layering on to the phase 1 $10 billion as announced wink wink investment they're making. Also making investments in data centers in Warren County. Big shot in the arm for our neighbors to the west here from our point in central Mississippi, and also in Hinds County, not far from where we are right now in Clinton, Mississippi. So Amazon Web Services betting big time on the great state of Mississippi. Something else I wanted to also point out is that the 12-month rolling deficit is $1.6 trillion in March 2026. So if you look at the last 6 months of fiscal year 25, first 6 months of fiscal year 26, combined 1.6. However, the first 6 months of the fiscal year 26 at 1.2 trillion, putting us on a run rate of 2.4. Many economists are predicting $2 trillion deficit this particular year. Also on the C Spire text line, a good question here. Where does all the money go that the county, in quotes, makes off these investments? So the primary source of revenue to government generated from these massive investments, such as Amazon Web Services here in Madison County, it's just standard ad valorem taxes. It's property taxes, of course, assessed on the building, the property, all of the equipment inside the building as well, all subject to that. It's fairly common when a company makes a major economic investment like this that the county will negotiate what's called a fee in lieu of, and that just means rather than paying the full millage, the full standard tax rate on that investment, as an incentive, they'll pay just a set fee. And then that set fee is tied to the size of the investment, but it's calculated differently, so it comes in at a level that produces less than the full amount of taxes. However, it's still a massive amount in the case of Amazon Web Services here in Madison County. But here's where the money goes. Just like if you looked at your property tax bill, if you get one from your county tax collector, you look at that tax bill, it's school districts, it's counties, and it's cities if your property's located in the city. About 60% or so in general across Mississippi of that money goes to school districts, and then next you got some 20% or so, 25 goes to counties, and then below that there's a portion that goes to municipalities if you live in a municipality. So when you think about the way we fund K through 12 education in Mississippi, there's a chunk that comes from state government. That's on a per student basis. and there's a formula for that. You remember we used to have the old Mississippi Adequate Education formula, and we changed that a couple of years ago. We restructured the way we fund K-12 education from the state. We have a new formula for that, student funding formula, I believe it's what it's called. Completely changed the math on that. But that works out to be a little over $6,000, a little over $7,000, I should say, per student. And then the rest of that comes from local sources, specifically property taxes, ad valorem taxes on your real estate, real property, and on your vehicle and any other property. There's other classes subject to property taxes. Those go into the bucket to fund schools and school districts, to pay teachers and just operate schools. That's where the money goes. So this money that's being invested by the likes of Amazon Web Services is generating local tax revenue. The tax revenue stays local. Really little or nothing going to the state because they receive a waiver of corporate income tax, and then there is some abatement of sales taxes during the construction period, at least, on any sales taxes that would be due. But that in exchange for a huge sum of money going locally. Now, Rhino sent me a video yesterday, and just when you think you've seen it all kind of video, man, oh man, it is this is really just almost shocking, and I'll kind of set this up for you. This was video recorded of a member of I believe it's called the National Democratic Party of the Parliament in Canada, MP, that stands for Member of Parliament in Canada. So this is NDP MP. Basically, it says Democrat Member of Parliament in Canada. This is Leah Gazan, and she ain't happy about the budget. Take a listen.
They provided $0 to deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent.
It's abhorrent. What, Rhino, did you look it up? You said you were going to take one for the team and go figure out what that long list of letters stands for. Let me say it for you. MMIWG2SLGBTQIA+. How can we have that many kinds of people? I just don't think that was God's intention to make that many different. What the heck does that stand for?
Well, the first part of it is all kind of together. The MMIWG stands for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Girls.
Oh, my God.
Then you get to the number 2 and the letter S, and that stands for Two-Spirit, which is a term that was coined about 50, 60 years ago in academia by a bunch of bleeding heart blowhards. Then you get to the ones that people are more familiar with, the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. And then you get to the end of it where you got some more tacked on, the QQIA+. The first Q stands for queer. The second Q stands for questioning. I stands for intersex. And the A stands for asexual. What I can't figure out is why you got the plus on there if you're just going to keep adding letters and numbers.
Can't be any left in there. Why do you need the plus?
Well, the whole purpose of the plus was the plus is a promise that we will be inclusive to everyone.
Okay. So tell me again, the MMIWG, what's that stand for?
MMIWG stands for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls.
Where did that come from? And what does that have to do with the budget? Exactly.
That's been a big hoopla in Canada. There was a big story several years ago where somebody claimed that hundreds of Indigenous women were killed and buried, and nobody cared where they were buried, and they were never memorialized and this kind of stuff. And it got a lot of people upset because that's a pretty salacious story. And then they started doing some digging, literally digging and sonar, and they can't seem to find any of the hundreds of murdered Indigenous women, the genocide of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And then when they start looking at the statistics, the vast majority of missing and murdered indigenous women and girls were due to indigenous men, but that didn't fit the narrative of white colonialism, so it's just a mess of nonsense.
She's incredible. But she was all upset about that and said it with a straight face. That's what always gets me, is how they can just be so serious when they rattle off that alphabet soup of letters. It's just unbelievable. Wow. On the C Spire text line, if workers come from out of state, as many will, how will this benefit after tax waiver? Yes, so let me be clear. I apologize for that. The sales tax waiver only applies to the company making the investment. So what that means is that they're not being subject to sales taxes on what they purchase during the construction period. So there's construction taxes, 3.5%, and then there's just other goods and services that are purchased as well that might be subject to the full sales tax rate. So it's that company who is exempt from sales taxes. As far as all the workers, that's actually a great point. You heard us talking today. There's some 5,000-6,000 workers that are on site in Madison County right now, every single day working on this project. Absolutely, they're spending money throughout the economy in Mississippi and in particular locally, and all that is generating sales taxes. A lot of it. They're also, right now at least, earning income that's subject to income taxes. And don't forget that they pay in Mississippi, because you pay taxes where you work. And don't forget that all the businesses that are benefiting from the purchases they make, they're producing income, which is subject to income tax. And that they, of course, are remitting those sales taxes. They're also getting more revenue that enables them to spend more money on what they need to run their businesses to accommodate this increase in business, and they're hiring more people, and they spend more money. So this is really just the way the economic ecosystem works. And yeah, I guess you could say that it's not technically trickle-down economics, as the Democrats like to blast, but call it whatever you want. Certainly is creating a downstream effect. Stepping aside for a break, coming right back.
TrustCare is a proud sponsor. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
What? This is so
awesome. On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It is Middays from Ridgeland, Mississippi. We've been here for the big announcement from Amazon Web Services, hosted by the Madison County Economic Development Authority, the governor, lieutenant governor, members of our legislature. I saw Congressman Michael Guest here earlier as well. Numerous of our local and county leaders all on board today for this big announcement. A bunch more money going to be spent by Amazon in Madison County, Hinds County, Warren County. Right now, it's Sam Kelly, chairman of the Madison County Business League and Foundation. Sam, good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
You bet, Gerard. Thanks for having me.
Big day again today. I told Roger Weiner, he's the head of, or the vice chair, I think, of economic development for Amazon Web Services. I said, this is becoming a habit, and we like it, so we'll keep it going, man.
Absolutely.
It's really, I think, showcasing, Sam, first, how great Madison County is. I believe the people who are what make Madison County so great, but the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's a great reflection on our entire state, not just our county, and it was interesting to me in Roger's comments that he talked about that, but he also talked specifically about a team from Ridgeland High School and what they're accomplishing, and that just shows you how involved they are and how much detail they go to in a particular community, and I just thought that spoke volumes.
Well, they understand that when they're good stewards of the community and just good corporate community citizens, that people like them. They respond positively to that. That's in their best. It's in every business's best.
It really is just kind of human nature.
Yeah. It makes sense. Well, they've done well, and the governor, of course, he reflected on the major investments that have been made in our state. And what we're seeing, I think, Sam, and this is really what the Madison County Business League and Foundation is all about, is we're seeing more collaboration and more just unity among the private and public sector than I can really remember. And I think that's bearing fruit in Mississippi.
It really is. And as you know, I also serve as president of the Madison County School Board, and that's one of the things with respect to our CTE program that we're really trying to expand that partnership between what we do in the school system and along with the community, the business community, so that we can make sure we're providing what they need. For as graduates come out of school and go directly into the workforce. And so we're excited about the opportunities that the addition of this new facility, as well as what's going on up in the northern part of county, that they're going to provide for our school district and what we can accomplish through that.
And we were just talking about that, the way, of course, as you know, the school districts are funded, students are funded, and the ad valorem taxes that are levied on property, real estate, vehicles, that's part of the pot of money that school districts receive. The other, of course, from the state and then the federal government. Right. That's the composition of the revenue that makes for the budget. This is going to be a significant amount of income to the county school district, where, of course, you just mentioned you're president of that board. What are you guys going to do with that money?
Well, it's my goal, and I've been pushing our group to do this, to use the majority of the additional revenue that we get from this in the CTE programs. Okay. Developing a new facility, developing additional programs. We've already started the process of we've sent out surveys to our parents to find out what they're interested in, to our students to find out what they're interested in, and also the business community. So that process is underway, and hopefully within the next year we're going to be announcing a new building program that will support a new facility that, again, can feed into that industry that's coming to Madison County, so that we can hopefully do our part in providing resources for that.
And that, I think, as well, Sam, will serve as a draw for new citizens into the county and the surrounding counties as well.
Yeah, it really will. We've done a lot of kind of background work going to other communities that have very thriving CTE programs. Yeah. And you see that. You see where people are attracted to the community so that they can participate in those programs. So I think that's certainly a possibility.
And Amazon Web Services is aware of that as well and fully supportive of that.
Yeah, they have been nothing but great to us, and everything that we've asked for, they've been right there and willing to help and to participate, and that's refreshing. And we hope we get the same response from other aspects of the business community, and we're confident we will as we begin to ask them to support that effort as well.
Before we go, serving as chair of the Madison County Business League and Foundation, and of course, that consists of the businesses across our county. Many of them are members. That's what that organization's all about. Kind of serves as a liaison between the private sector and the public sector.
Right.
They're pretty excited about all this as well, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, we are. We're excited, and we're trying to do our part again from the private sector standpoint to make sure that we're supporting MCEDA and the county in all of their efforts. And so hopefully we're doing our part along those lines as well, and we're looking forward to the opportunities in the future.
And we should point out membership has grown as well as a result.
I think we're around 270, in between 270 and 280 now. So we've got a great membership, and they're very active and involved.
And if you're listening out there, you should consider joining if you're in our county and you're in business, because you'll get a lot of value from it. Appreciate you coming on, Sam.
You bet, Gerard. Thanks for having me.
Sam Kelly, chair of the Madison County Business League and Foundation. That's a wrap here from the Amazon Web Services South Campus in Madison County. Back in the Element Well studio at headquarters tomorrow. Stay safe and God.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.